Hi everybody. Well, I haven't shot any videos of boring stuff lately because it honestly all seemed boring and I thought they don't need to see this, but this one's turning into enough of a conundrum that I figured I'd give you the walk down. So this is a brand new JRB quick coupler that has never been finished machined. You can see it's got hole there, no holes here. These are kind of a one-size-fit-all sort of thing. I mean, they have them in different sizes, but basically they would machine them to the specs that that particular machine needed. I mean, they'd mass-produce a bunch of them, but this was designed, you can see this is an oval boss. It's because the hole could be all over the place anywhere in that boss. And anyhow, and they don't have the weld-on plates in here yet that made the side width correct. So anyways, the customer that has got these has got, I forget, 60 or something of these, and the idea was that they wanted me to start machining them up into finished product of the most common applications. I've been scratching my head trying to come up with a good fixture to hold this thing, because it is machined down here where the pins go. And I'd been scrounging around, slowly accumulating stuff. Well, then all of a sudden they had a customer that needed one. So I'm going to show you the hard method right now. I hope by the next time I'm shooting a video on one of these, it'll be because I've got a fixture built. So here's the deal. Down on the bottom end, these, because they're kind of a one-size-fit-all, it's hard to tell what you're seeing here, but these are machined to accept a 100mm pin and then have a little scallop out of the edge that's 90mm size, so that they'll come up nice and tight. You can't tell it with the pin in here, but there's kind of a bump in that bore that fits the 100mm. So I grabbed a 100mm there. This end is a little bit weird to me. I'm really not sure why they machined this the way they did, but you can see it's got, it's almost as if this end is designed to grab something clear down to an 80mm pin, and they just kind of figure that anything bigger than that, they've got a taper on the lock dog, and it just kind of grabs it and mashes it up into the corner. But anyways, that's a machined surface, and that's a machined surface. So I went ahead, grabbed a pair of brand new 100mm pins, set it up on those, on a set of my parallel blocks, and got the thing all trued around as far as square my table. You can see where I came over here. These are machined faces, but they painted them so they wouldn't rust up. So I had to scrape through and got on here with an indicator, indicated in, and then I decided, you know what, this is a machine face, I ought to make sure the part's square. I machined or indicated from there to there and got, what, almost 15 thousandths of out of plumb. And I thought, oh no, my setup isn't working. So then what I did is came over here and ran an indicator through this bore. And doing that, with it sitting here the way it is, I was less than a thou out. So what I've since figured out is this is a steel casting, and it's been sitting around long enough that, and I've seen this before, it's got a lot of stress in it being a casting, and this ear has actually warped its way out as this thing's stress relieved. I mean, these are, I don't even know how long these have been sitting around. They were a discontinued model. That's how come they were sitting around unmachined. So that ear has warped out. This one is actually still pretty square is what I discovered. And so that's just a note to keep in mind. Like, when you see castings like this, iron, steel, it doesn't much matter. If they get cast and then get machined right away, there is pretty much guaranteed going to be some of this kind of stuff happening. So for our application, it's not going to overly matter except for one thing, and that is that my plan here was to bore through here, machine up collars, slide them onto there, and then weld them in place. Like, put a pin through, slide the collars on, weld them in place. I'm probably still going to do that. I'm just going to have to be careful. These bores, we actually have prints for this thing, are calling for, it's 3.551, which is 90mm, plus or minus 4 thousandths. Like, it's just unbelievable to me that they have such loose tolerances. Because of that, I think we can get away with ignoring the fact that this ear's a little tweaked. Otherwise, I would have to weld that on, bore through it. It's way easier to do the machining on them rings in the lathe and just take them to finished size. So my intention is to bore this to size, slip a pin through with my ring on, slam it up against there, and weld it in place. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm probably going to cheat a little bit. And like I said, it's tipped out by about 15 thousandths over that. I'm going to slip a piece of 10,000 shim stock under I'm going to call the low side before I weld that ring on. And that slight gap in there is not going to hurt a darn thing. I see gaps like that between the factory ones all the time. And basically just square that because my bore is going to be through here square, and that'll just let me square my boss up to it. So anyway, so what I got going on here, see this, this is why I'm actually videoing this, is I got such a hokey system going, I felt like I had to admit to it on video. So this is just a socket that you can see that's boarded or machined into the side of there. And with this thing sitting here like this, that's actually running uphill slightly. I was very afraid of it trying to spit that pin out there under machining vibration, or even just clamping it down. So I've got this ratchet strap going all the way around the end on each end of the pin, hugging that thing up tight into the bottom of that notch. This, naturally, because of the way this machine wants to drop into the notch, so that's the holder there, and then I am having a heck of a time getting a hold of this thing. So what I've got is I slammed 2 angle plates up tight against this side because we're going to be drilling and boring. All the load is going to be pushing it this direction. So that's just to keep it from sliding. I've got another one here with what's admittedly a light-duty clamp on it. That's mostly to help with vibration if it wants to get me going. And then, as far as downward clamping force, I'm able to get a toe clamp on it here. And then, this was exciting because none of my T-slots were where I needed them. I'll show you what I got in here. There's not much space to get down through here with any tie-downs. So I ended up taking one of my tie-downs and creating a bridge down here that crossed between my T-slots. And then I was able to put a T-nut in my hold down to get another tie down where I needed it up through here. So I'm hopeful that that should be rigid enough. I have, 3 angle plates basically slammed up against the back side of it. So it really can't come this way. So what my tie downs are really doing is just keeping this thing from tipping, right? Because I'm applying load up high on it, and it just takes the load to keep it from tipping this way. So we'll see. I'll be watching for vibration chatter, and we'll go from there. So I'll keep you posted. All right, getting ready to set up the coaxial indicator, and I'm wanting a rigid tool holder. Can't remember. I don't think I have one. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We do have one in a Morris Taper 5 that's a rigid holder. So anyway, oh, by the way, guys, I don't remember if I showed you this, but finally got sick and tired of the disorganized mess with all my tooling and made ourselves a pegboard. It turned into an enormous project. It's some old truck van sides, 3/4 inch plywood with fiberglass facing, which proved to be the first problem. We hole sawed all them in, itching for a week from all the fiberglass we released doing that. So it's 2 chunks of that with 2x4s in between and then spaced off the wall with furring strips. So anyways, it works great, but it took, I think, about 6 hours to hole saw them holes in. It was a thankless job. It was one of them where if you'd have known ahead of time how bad it was going to be, you wouldn't do it. But once you're halfway done, you can't quit. But anyway, now that's done, it's nice. The only part I got paranoid of, I started sticking these big drills and stuff in, I realized that I had a lot of weight hanging this way, and I had thrown a few GRKs in. I've ended up now with 10 of these 8-inch GRKs in there, just out of paranoia. I think if it comes down now, it's taking the wall with it. But anyway, that freed up a lot of space in the cabinets. Now the tools aren't banging around against each other. So anyway, I'm going to set this back up here and go see about getting it set up here with the coaxial. Not going to go crazy thumping that in there because we're going to promptly take it back out. I just want it in here. So that I can get centered up on this first bore and then decide where to go for the second one. about there. The head. Now maybe I won't like that anyway. I'm going to zero everything out right here. Track this critter and bust her down because we're done with it now. Get myself oil dry. I don't know if I've ever shown you guys, there's a heck of an oil slick that comes out this case. And even a fair amount of the gearbox ends up being a total loss system. So it makes an oil slick that just won't quit. Periodically, I get after the oil dry. Soak it up. It just so happens I'm standing right in the oil slick today, so I'm not excited about leaving it. Okay. Now, things are starting to get more exciting. That's cool. I believe we're going to be done with that now. Set it down and use it. Alright, I gotta get the print. See what we got going on here. Show you guys what this print looks like. So it's not a true blueprint, it's just rough dimensions. So the big issue here is it gives me a dimension here, but it does not show me, it gives me no 0 point to start from. I believe they call it a datum point. So I know what the distance between the holes is, but it's obvious from looking at it that they don't lie in the same plane. And that's a little bit of a problem. I'm going to have to, frankly, we're going to have to take a little bit of a, give it our best estimate. It looks to me like they're basically centering in that pad, that pad that was poured right into it and then was decked off. So I'm going to center on it that way. I need to be at 19.09 inches from the center line of this hole. And it's going to be a little bit funny because I'm going to have to go over there and see about how far off the center line I am and then adjust. Alright, here goes. Give me a little oil pump there. Debating whether I ought to pilot, you know, and I think the answer is yes. Hey, Bernie. Hi, buddy. We gotta take off here this minute. That would be helpful. Did you do that?
Oh, well, that was really.
Trashing is in the tool for some reason. I'm gonna have to pull it and do a resharp. Alright, so you can see like here, edge broke down, here the edge broke down. I think I hit a hard spot in that casting, but anyways, I don't have the proper sharpening fixture. These should be getting set up in a block that holds them at the right angle on this surface grinder, but I don't have that sharpening block. So instead I'm doing it by hand over here on my tool grinder, which I can get close enough for what I'm doing. So alright, I need both hands. Darn it. That's why I need both hands. Alright, I'll bring you back when I get this done. It's definitely a hard spot. Really ugly hard spot at that. All you do is press in. But we got chewed through there. Didn't really like it. I'm going to have to double check. I don't know if you guys could see it. It was shaking and rocking my whole fixture setup. What I think I'm going to do is get that hole punched out to the actual roughing size. I dropped the spade bit size. I'm going to bump back up, punch through there, and then double check. I got to think about this. Yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll double check my squareness, make sure I haven't shifted it any, and then we'll go back at it. Anyway, I'm going to get some tooling swapped around. Alright, sorry everybody, the camera battery died. So I am on the finished cut on this bore now. We're just skimming a few thousandths out of there. We'll double check that in a second, make sure I like the dimension. And then this bore is roughed out to within about 25 thousandths. I don't remember. I was cutting all the way through both of them, but obviously with the radical overhang there is out here, there's a lot more deflection. And so the numbers, this bore was running a steady 10 thousandths smaller than that bore. So I quit boring through this one, decided I'd treat them as individual bores now that I'm down here near the end, because I'm going to have to fine tune that one anyway. And was starting to fight some chatter. It was funny, it cut like a dream in a heavier cut, like 25 thou on a side, no sweat. I got down and started taking some lighter cuts. You can see I was starting to get some ugly finish. So thought, all right, we're just gonna have to play with it all by itself, because this one's been cutting nice the whole time up close to the head of the machine. So anyways, I'm gonna get stretched out and try cutting that one next. All right, here goes nothing. So far so good. Seeing just a little bit of evidence of hum in there. Try seeing if I ride up and if I can deaden it out of there. Once it gets started, it likes to follow the previous track and go to singing. A lot of times, just a little bit of extra, I don't know, pressure, if you want to call it that, on the bar is all it takes to make them stop. I've been wanting to try something, I just haven't had time. I want to machine a harmonics balancer off from a diesel engine to fit on the spindle of this. I want to machine some to fit my boring bars, because I think one of those riding along would really go a long ways towards stopping this nonsense. I seen some guy in a video, I forget, India or something. He had a great big flywheel that he had riding along on his, and that seemed to do the trick. So. But I would think a harmonic balancer would really be the ticket, though. It's going to be curious to see what size it actually cuts this hole, because I left it at the same dimension as the last bore, which was right on, just because I know it's going to be smaller than that. I'm just curious how much smaller. Like I say, I've been running about 10 thou under when I went from the other bore to this one. I do have micro bore heads, and I thought about switching one of those, but the tolerance on this hole is plus or minus 4 thousandths, and I was like, tolerance is that coarse. I don't feel like bothering to set up the switch the heads. I mean, you can hit plus or minus 4 thousandths with your eyes closed, so not too bad. You can see just a little bit of evidence of that harmonics in it, but let's see what she measures now. The other thing you're going to see here is that I've got my calipers out once again. When we've got tolerances this coarse. So yeah, right now that is measuring exactly 10 under. That's hilarious. So I already know from past experience that when I go to a lighter cut, it wants to hum and chatter. So what I'm going to do is turn the speed way down on her now. 77 RPMs. I had been running, I think it was 114. Yeah, I went from 114 to 77, but I really don't like pattering and finding the pass right now. But so far, she's cutting smooth. Say that, I can hear just a little bit trying to happen now. I'm going to put a hand down in here and see if we can help her out. Got it to go away by riding along a little up in the bar. So. Comes and goes. Once in a while it's pretty bad, and then it settles back down. Fortunately, we're just going to have some of this in this final pass. I think if the hole is a little undersized yet, I'll probably just stop here and hold it to size so I can get rid of some of the scatter marks. Alright, we're through. Give you a forearm workout. You know, it don't feel or look as bad as it sounded. You can see a wave when you look at it in the lake, but definitely not anything terrible. So I'm right at the bottom limit on 4 days. I think what we're going to do is drop this one more speed range and try to cut back through there and see what it does. It's just not even cutting. Well, see how sharp my tool is once. Then we're going to try. Bringing up to the sharp side of the tool here once. Instead of cutting there, so we were about to do. So far so good. We're taking the chatter marks out, and I would say probably taking about 3 thou on a side from the looks of that, which would be just great. Yep, I think that was the right answer. Edge of my tool was just rounded off a little bit, just contributing to that chatter, and then that's why my whole board undersize was so much bar deflection. It just couldn't bite anymore. It was basically skimming along the surface. Looking good. Alright, well, I think I'll set this video down for now and finish this up. It's, what time is it? Yeah, about 8:45, and I'm ready to go home for the night, but I promised I might get this done today, so catch you all next time. Bye then.